So for more details, for more discussions on the FA Cup, we've been joined on the line by Abel Frames Jr., who is a women's football analyst. Abel, if you can hear me, welcome to Sports World.
Yes, I can hear you, and it's always a pleasure joining the show. I call this show my home, so it's always a pleasure joining.
Great to have you on the show as usual. Now let's focus on business, and the Women's FA Cup comes up this Sunday, and the FA Cup is joining our ladies that's playing against Faith Ladies. Faith Ladies in the league have not performed so well, but for Jonina Ladies, they had a chance to at least in the league come to the final. But then they have another chance at the FA Cup. For the first time, they've qualified to the final. What do you make out of this game?
Well, it's going to be fire. It's going to be an interesting game. Look, if you look at the history of the FA Cup so far, in previous seasons up until last season, in the last 3 seasons, we've always had that from that one as I ladies. Last season, the narrative changed. This season, the story also changed. Here we are with Jelena and then like State Ladies. State Ladies in the ever since joining the Ghana Women's Premier League has always been a good side. They've always been a side battling for the top four in the league. Particularly, they've been second or third in the last 4 seasons, except this season where, unfortunately for them, they find themselves really defeated. Now, but then in the FA Cup, just like you see, you actually show their run to the final. You could see the teams they face, some from the northern zone, some from the southern zone. And the teams they face they are not just good. And even to the extent that in the run to the final, they start to go until now this for about 2 times. So it tells you the journey so far. Look at a team like Jonina Ladies from last season. They've been brilliant, super. They've been that good. Last season, they go to the quarterfinals and they got eliminated by Epiphany Warriors, who were in Division 1 by them. This season, they had a perfect revenge on Epiphany Warriors, knocking them out in the round 64. And then also here they are, they find themselves in the final. So it's been a brilliant run. It's been a good journey for both sides.
Let's focus a bit on Jonina Ladies. Out of the games that have been played in the Women's FA Cup, 52 of those games have been won in 90 times. For Jonina Ladies, all of their games right from the round of 64 to the semi-finals, they won those games in regular time. And if you have a look at their scoreline, they scored 4 goals in their last game. They scored 5 in the quarterfinals. Then they beat all the teams that they met. Compared to Faith Ladies, where they had to eliminate about 3 of the teams when it comes to penalties. Let's talk about the attack of Jonina Ladies. And do you think that Faith Ladies can really drag this game to penalties, as they usually do?
Well, when it comes to the FA Cup, basically, if you look at these two sides, the States against Benin and Ladies, you know that these two teams, these two clubs have faced each other 4 times, and one of them being in the if you had the one in the FA Cup trade, basically it's been 5 meetings between these two. Last year they met in the FA Cup where Benina had to knock out Fake Ladies. If you come to the league, they faced each other 4 times from last season ever since Jonina joined. Now, in out of these meetings, being it the FA Cup or the league, Jonina has been a better side. Jonina has won 3, and then 2 of them has been drawn. Now, if you go into the books, Fake Ladies has never scored more than a goal in their meetings
Yeah,
against Jonina Ladies.
yeah.
And so if you look at these two sides, it seems to be in favor of Jonina Ladies. But take nothing away from Sophie Ladies. You know how they go to the final. Actually, the shock of the whole FA Cup competition was when State Ladies had to take out Azakes Ladies. Everyone who was at the Magiana Street was left surprised. So it tells that even though they are down in the league, but in the FA Cup, they are different beats. They are different team way with them. They are more or less like a beast way with them. And if you look at both teams, they have similar records,
All right.
especially having to play games in the month of May. If you look at games played by these two sides in the month of May, and Space Ladies have had to play their 3 games in the month of May. Space Ladies have won 2 out of them, drawn none, and then lost 1.
All right.
Jolina likewise has also played 3 games in the month of May. They've also won 2. They've drawn none, and then they lost. Interestingly, both sides in their lost in the month of May, ever since Jolina joined in the league, that is from last season, has all been, for both teams, has been against Azak Ladies. So it tells you. Now, one interesting thing is that this match is going to be played on Sunday, which is going to be on the 18th of May.
Yeah.
And if you go back to go back down the history line, St. Ladies has played two matches ever since. I like this from last year because that is when Jonina joined the league. And even rising, they normally do not have their matches played on the 18th
of me.
of any month. Yes, oh, no, not May, not May, not any month.
Okay.
If you look at the matches played by these two times on the day number 18th of any month, Jonina has played just one in the month on the 18th day of any month, and that was against Scotland Intellectuals where Jonina went away to beat them. For First Ladies, it's been two wins out of two on the 18th day of the month at home.
Yeah.
Now, in the month of May also, Jonina has faced two greater attractions. They know the teams they face in the month of May. Jonina has to be there. They beat Army Ladies. They also beat Very Ladies in the month of May. For First Ladies also in the month of they they have been the best side in terms of facing teams from the greater Accra season. So if you look at everything historically, you go back to the head between these two sides. You look at the form of their players. If you go to from Jordan, they'll be counting on them. They'll be have Eunice
All right.
saying who is there. They'll also be counting on Agnes. They'll be counting on everything. So definitely this race is got 5 league goals, and so it tells you
Okay.
how proven of a striker she is for Jonina League. And
All
so
right.
if you ask me, I would take Jonina to end as victorious for the
All right.
2024 for the 2024-2025 Ghana Women's FA Cup.
All right, so Abel, let's move on to the big one, which is the final of the Women Premier League, where Ampem Dakwa ladies are playing against Police ladies in that particular. But before I come to you, viewers, you can send in your messages to the numbers displayed on your screen. Then we also activate the phone lines getting to the end of the show so that you call and also have your views on the show. So Abel, the final of the Women's Premier League is on this Sunday. Ampem Dakwa ladies have the experience. They've gone to the CAF Women's Champions League. But for Police ladies, can they do it against Ampem Dakwa ladies?
Whew. For police ladies, first of all, it's been a brilliant run, like I've said in the previous editions of the show. If you look at where they are coming from last 3 seasons and getting to the final last season, also another final this season. For police ladies, they seem to be moving in parallel directions in terms of being victorious in the finals. You know, their very first final was in the Women's FA Cup, Stamford Women's FA Cup. Back then, that's how I used to be called. They lost actually at Cape Coast. They lost that match by 2 goals to 1. And then their last final was last once again in the FA Cup against Army Ladies. They lost. But if you look at their history or their head-to-head against Ampem Dakwa, let's not even travel that far. Last season, they did their unthinkable, actually knocking out two of the previous winners of the FA Cup competition. First was Azakis ladies. Then from them, they are after the question and they knock them out. So it's even though they've been that bad in terms of being in the finals of in any of the women's competition in Ghana. But then when it comes to Ampem Dakwa, they seem to have a way of finding their feet against Ampem Dakwa. But if you go back to history and look at April Dakwa in the month of May, in their last 3 matches in the month of May, there's nothing favorable to them. Losing and then playing draw. Last season they lost to Kusa. They were in the league. That was their last but one match they played in the month of May. If you go back to this season, this season they have to draw in the month of May. So if you look at their history in the month of May, it hasn't been that good. But look,
Just give me a arena, Abel. Give me a arena.
Well, I would take Ampem Dakwa to emerge the
All
greatest
right.
of the Premier League. Even though they've lost coach like Nana Joe Dakwa, I still think they've got the squad, they've got the experience, they've got
Okay.
that has played among themselves for long. Look at their midfielders. Wendell Ufansa, there is Nancy. Even though they in attack they lost Mary and Ponsa, they still got what it takes to actually emerge victors in the
Okay.
women's. And so I'm going to go for
Tip
Ampem Dakwa.
Ampem Dakwa. All right. All right. Abel, thank you so much for joining us on Ghana Focus, and we thank you for your perspective on the FA Cup final and also the Women's Premier League. So viewers, on Sunday, just find your way to the University of Ghana Sports Stadium, where we have two important games. First in the FA Cup and also second in the Women's Premier League final. So that'll be all for Ghana Focus. Before